Greetings everyone. Today I, Vaishnavi Jai, is here to present a research idea in front of you guys, that is in silico analysis of HIV drugs in Alzheimer's patient. This would be the workflow of my presentation. Starting with the introduction, over 55 million people worldwide suffer from Alzheimer's, which has no cure. Alzheimer's is a devastating disease. People forget about their loved ones, their memories are very short, all because of a mere degeneration of brain cells and connections. It has been a decade now and still no effective treatment exists. However, the disease has been widely studied using different strategic methods that could somehow be the solution, but no drug or procedural treatment has surpassed the trial stage. Up until recently, where a discovery has been made that fundamentally changes how we understand the brain and Alzheimer's course of action. A study was conducted where it was discovered that somatic recombination occurs within the brain. Now, you might be wondering, what is this somatic recombination and why is it important here? Somatic recombination is an alteration of the DNA of a somatic cell that is inherited by its daughter cells. What was seen was that due to somatic recombination in all is also one of the cause of the Alzheimer's. Basically, a gene referred to as APP or amyloid precursor protein starts forming amyloid plaques, which actually leads to or is a major cause of Alzheimer's disease. This alteration is caused by a very popular enzyme that overturned the central dogma's theory, that is reverse transcriptase. What it does, it reinserts new codons to a DNA blueprint, creating a new unit that can enhance our brain, or that particularly unit could be a toxic unit that can confuse the brain. The latter is the case of Alzheimer's. Reverse transcriptase is the same kind of enzyme used by HIV to replicate providing scientific rationale that currently available HIV medicines, which block reverse transcriptase, hold the potential of being a near-term treatment for Alzheimer's disease. And this study and our study focuses on contemplating using computational tool whether above proposed statement could be a possibility or not. Related work to it is in 2018, as I mentioned, there was this study, there was this paper published that was named Somatic APP Gene Recombination in Alzheimer's Disease in Normal Neurons, where they had done study in a mouse line and found that the somatic recombination is occurring, and which is further leading to Alzheimer's. And in 2019, there was this computational analysis of Alzheimer causing mutation in amyloid precursor protein and preslin, where they had auto-dogged to check the efficacy of 8 patent drug. None of them were of HIV, but they were checking their binding affinity towards the Alzheimer's cause of action site. Our proposed plan herein is that from the literature survey, we understood how the somatic recombination is occurring inside the brain and is altering the blueprint, which further leads to reverse transcriptase activity, is one of the cause of unnecessary accumulation of beta amyloid plaques. With the help of this understanding briefed above, we were able to map down the mechanism of action. So we have chosen the target protein APP. Across the residue 1 to 150, since the APP protein is 750 residue long, so we have chosen the starting point because that starting point is the wrong cleavage at that point is leading to formation of amyloid plaques. So that's why we have chosen that portion. Using docking tools, found out the binding affinity of the drug towards the activated reverse transcriptase, APP, amyloid precursor protein, inhibiting the production of plaques in case of, which would further inhibit the production of plaques in case of Alzheimer's disease, and with further performing simulation by GROMACS, analyze the results. Beforehand, we have also used, we'll be also using online BBB predictor blood-brain barrier permeability of the molecule was drawn, which would be a potential, through which we found out which would be a potential drug among many that could surpass the barrier. These steps led us towards our conclusion of whether this drug would provide better insights in the cause of action of Alzheimer's disease or not. Our result analysis was this. First, it was checked whether whether the NTRI drug would surpass the blood-brain barrier, where among six, three did surpass the barrier, and our drug of choice was abacavir as a potential drug of choice, as it had an average score among the three, and also is the first choice medication in case of HIV infection. So would be more effective and would have better sustenance and outcomes. Uh, then from Autodoc 4.0, we discovered that abacavir docked with 4-PQT. 4-PQT is the particular residue portion of APP protein, gave us minus 7.9 binding energy, and we at side we also docked one APP amyloid plaques. These are the these are the things that actually accumulate and further leads to confusion in the brain, and its affinity was also very nice. We also got good results with this, which was minus 8.50 affinity. In comprehension of a study done in 2019, where by using the same software, they checked the efficacy of 8 patent drug. It showed that the affinity in the either case is a good indicator that the drug is an accurate fit. With in here where the interaction was 6 hydrophobic interactions where we got, and 3 hydrogen bonds were forming with 1 salt bridge. So all in all, good results we got. Then afterwards, we performed docking and taking the control as the amyloid plague as a control, and for both the cases, the results were very similar. It concluded that in both the cases, the complex was able to survive the simulation till the term, suggesting that this could be a possible near-term treatment for Alzheimer's. Now, conclusion. In our study, we repurposed HIV drug that is FDA approved to identify whether it could possibly interact with the cause of action of Alzheimer's. We checked whether it could surpass the blood-brain barrier. Afterwards, the affinity of the drug towards the site where the wrong cleavage occurs, leading to Alzheimer's, or possible reverse transcriptation is occurring. Our study concluded that the drug has high affinity towards both the site of wrong cleavage and the amyloid plaques. Also, that we have used as a control for interpreting simulation results. We have performed a computational study which haven't been performed in respect of the specific site, which further opens the scope of identifying the pathway of action, justifying why most of the AIDS patients taking medication doesn't suffer from Alzheimer's. However, lack of any potential study in this direction has limited us to not fully understand the implication of binding. In future, we hope to have more defined understanding as we get more insights about the reverse transcriptase activities in the brain. These are the statements. Thank you.
So I'm Dheeraj, and our team members are Mahesh, Rohit, and Mehul. Our guide is Dr. Ashwini ma'am, and we are from the Department of Computer Science from PS University, Bangalore. The title of our research presentation is Emotion Recognition Using Text with Emojis and Speech. Next slide. Mahesh, next slide. Yeah. So the motivation for our research paper was that all the text models which we had done a literature survey had only the plain baseline models, which was either CNN or LSTM solely. We decided to use a hybrid model, which was more efficient than any individual model. Coming to the speech part, a singular CNN model could not capture all the features and thus did not result in a high accuracy level. Also, transcription was only the sole means of methodology used, which did not provide a good result. The frequency of emoji was an additional parameter which we tried to incorporate to increase the impact of the emotion. Also, certain classes like neutral and sadness had a high detection rate, whereas happiness and anger had more misclassification. Next slide, Mahesh. Mahesh, next slide.
I'm in next slide. I'm in abstract.
Yeah. So So just to reiterate, emotion recognition is the ability of detecting human expressions in the form of emotions. This is mainly useful for the social media and e-commerce platforms to grasp the attention of the users and improve their service. So our project basically focuses on 5 emotions, which include happy, sad, fear, angry, and neutral. The input is in the form of text only, text with emojis or speech. So addition of emojis to text is an additional feature with taking into consideration the frequency of occurrence of each emoji to get the proper impact of the emotion. Also, we create a simple interface for each user for detecting the emotion, and after the emotion detected, we try to enhance their mood by recommending content in the form of uh, music or videos. The feedback taken from the users is stored in the database to improve further predictions. Next slide, Mahesh.
I think it's delaying the slide.
Okay,
Delay.
okay. This is the architecture of a project. The input is in form of text or speech. The pre-processing methods include word embedding, emoji to vector, and globe. So for the emojis, we use two concepts. One is deemojize, which gives a textual representation for every emoji. The second method is the emoji to vector, which basically provides a vector representation for every emoji. Now for the text and the emoji, we have two vectors, and we combine them as the input to our model. The text model and the speech model both give the output, which is then used to recommend the content, and then the feedback is taken to retrain the model. Next slide. So for text, we used 4 models, which is the BERT, BiLSTM, Roberta, and a hybrid model, which is Roberta, CNN, LSTM. And speech, we use the CNN model with MFCC as additional feature extraction component with 10 feature extraction techniques and 4 audio augmentation techniques. Uh, Next slide. The text dataset was compiled from 4 datasets of Kaggle. So we totally got in dataset of 1,43,375 texts, which were divided into 5 labels of happy, sad, fear, angry, and neutral. Next slide. So this was the pre-processing technique where we use a tokenizer for each input text, which gives the tokenized values for each lexemes. The first model was the BiLSTM model. In the BiLSTM model, the data flow happens in both the directions. This had a high accuracy, had a high training accuracy, but resulted in a poor testing accuracy because of the overfitting of the data. Also, the large data set size was another factor which resulted in not getting a good accuracy rate. This led us to go to the BERT model, which is a transformer-oriented attention model, which works on 108 million parameters. It uses the input IDs and the attention masks, and also statically calculated the weights. This methodology resulted in better accuracy of testing than the BiLSTM model, even for large data sets. The Roberta model was an upgraded version of the BERT, which used the dynamically calculated weights, and it had a 185 million parameters for training. This resulted in a better performance than the BERT model in terms of accuracy. The final model was the hybrid of Roberta, CNN, and LSTM, where to the base Roberta we added 2 layers of LSTM and 4 CNN layers, which were assembled together to provide a better accuracy compared to the baseline Roberta. This helped to increase the accuracy by around 5%. Next slide. So coming to the speech, we used 4 datasets of Savvy, Test, Crema, and Ravdes. This totally amounted to 7,377 files, which again were divided into 5 categories: happy, sad, fear, angry, and neutral. Next slide. speech emotion recognition is the process of extracting the features of this input speech irrespective of the semantic contents. So instead of using only a base CNN model, we also use MFCC, which is the mild frequency sectoral coefficient. It is a signal processing technique used to extract the features based on a cosine transformation. Along with this, there was the speech to text transcription model, which was also used to increase accuracy. The the split up of the data was 75% of data for the CNN model and 25 for the transcription. Using a Streamlit component, which is the Python framework for web front end, we used it to record the audio, which was in a .wav format. This is the spectrogram and wave plot for each of the emotions, which is angry, fear, and sad. This is a kind of data visualization which provides the frequencies, and based on this, the speech, based on this, the emotion will be recognized rather than only the text content. Next slide. Since the data set was from professional actors, to make it suitable for the real-time scenarios, we try to augment the data using 4 techniques, which is addition of noise, shifting, pitching, and stretching. Later, we used 10 feature extraction methods, which was zero crossing rate, spectral centroid, spectral bandwidth, MFCC, Tonnet's Mel spectrogram, root mean square error, contrast, chroma STFT, and spectral roll-off. These features help to get better accuracy and in-depth analysis of the features of the speech rather than only the baseline model. The transcription, we used the speech-to-text transcription of the Google using the speech recognizer library. This gives all the possibilities of the transcripts, and the one with the highest accuracy score is chosen, thereby dropping all the incorrect tokens. Next slide. Next slide, Mahesh.
I guess there's a delay from your side.
Okay.
Next slide.
So further, after the emojis, after the emotion is detected, we try to recommend content in form of music and videos to enhance the mood of the user. For this, we try to use music and video recommendation system using the KNN algorithm. For the music recommendation, uh, we use the features of music, which is acousticness, danceability, energy, instrumentalness, valency, and tempo. The Spotify API is used to extract the music features, and based on this, we recommend songs. Next slide. So for the video recommendation, we try to recommend videos in different genres to enhance their mood. For example, if it is sad or happy, sad is the emotion which is predicted by the model. Uh, we try to recommend happy songs which have features such as high energy, high valency, and fast tempo. And the video recommendation would be comedy entertainment to cheer up their mood. Similar way, for each of the emotions, we recommend songs and videos which will try to improve their mood with the recording song features. Next slide. So finally, when we try to come to a conclusion, the hybrid model was the best model for text, providing an accuracy of 74.32% on testing, which was better than any individual model. Although the bilistic model has high tuning accuracy, the testing accuracy was low because of overfitting. The speech model, the testing accuracy was 86.81%, which was higher than the individual CNN model with the use of MFCC and also the transcriptions. Next slide. So to conclude, Roberta's hybrid model was the best model which combined the deep learning and machine learning techniques and classifies the emotion using the one-hot encoded outputs. The frequency of emoji was the parameter which helped to improve the text accuracy. MFCC's GNN model performed better than any individual model using NLP techniques, and it minimized the false positives. Next slide. So these are the references which we have used, and yeah, so this is screenshots of the web page where this is a speech emotion recognizer of the speech. So the user can recognize the speech, record the speech using the Streamlit API, and the recorded speech is in a .wav format. After the speech is being recorded, the emotion is predicted, uh, and based on that, uh, the the recommendation is done. Similarly, for the text as well, we have the each of the model which predicts the emotions. The song recommendation is based on the genre and the year, so the user has the option to choose both of them, and based on that, they can listen to whichever songs they want. Similarly, for the video recommendation, we recommend videos from YouTube, and based on the genres, they can listen to their songs of the preference. After the recommendation is done, we take the feedback of the user, where the actual emotion of the user is obtained, in which the user can enter a detail of their feedback if it actually helped to enhance their mood. This information is basically stored in the MongoDB database. We create a cluster in the MongoDB Atlas using the API call, where this based on the session ID, each user details is stored along with their emotion, predicted emotion, and the actual value. Similarly, for the text, for the speech content, the speech recorded is broken up into chunks and stored in the database. So here the user ID is stored along with the text which they had entered, the predicted emotion which is sad, and the feedback obtained from them was the angry. So the feedback is the prediction can be improved. So this is the final output. Thank you, sir.
Giving from my phone, so actually my internet is not okay.
No problem. Please go ahead. Yeah, same
So
here.
I
I
have
also
to
had.
present. I'm going to present variational autoencoder based Siamese network for chain detection on salary imagery. So here actually chain detection is very renowned case in the remote sensing technology. So what we do here, keep in short and simple, that we actually first do the VAE, variational autoencoder. Then after that we do the Gaussian blur, and after that we use Siamese network to find out the changes. Here actually we do very less number of training sample. Here only 2-3 images, 2 images are having in the chain detection technique. So we see that here actually the images, and after that the ground truth, and after that the difference image, which is actually coming from the PCA means, which is also a chain detection technique. And the right hand side we use the UAVSAR data, which is SAR synthetic aperture radar data, and we found out the difference, and it is the changes which is going over the time. So we have 2006 and 2012 imagery, and 2010 imagery, and we actually do the not only doing the subtract but also using the VAE Siamese network to find out the changes, change pixel. So here actually we can see that the ROC curve actually giving the better result for VAE Siamese, but it has the type 2 error at near the 0 value, 1 0 value, which is actually showing that the work complies that the training data is very simple, very less, and the MSE based minimum square error based sandwich network has been done here, which actually signifies also type 2 error. So which actually enhance the edge maximization, and this we actually utilize the type 2 error to find out the mode changes. The ROC curve is actually giving the result, and here actually found the kappa value and recall value for the result. So this actually includes all the thing. And in conclusion, we can say that this is a good technology over PCA means. We also found in literature that VA is very recent literature that they use the VAE SAMIs, but the VAE actually they actually do the various distribution based statistic distance like KLD or any beta like that. So but here actually we are using the simple minimum square error where we got the type 2 error. So except that we utilize the type 2 error and find out that the higher the edges are better for the changes we can find out. So in all over, these are the few selected reference here, and this concludes. So actually, my student intern actually present that he actually submitted the registration. But he is actually having exam, so I am presenting. So anyway, all over the VAE SAM is actually gives the best result over the PCA means in terms of type 2 error. Type 2 error is the higher the edges maximization we can have, we can see. So this concludes. I am ready for any question. Thank you.
Thank you, Simons, for your wonderful presentation, sir, on behalf of your student. So we would like to get in connect with you. Please share your email address and your affiliation in the chat box. We can take the questions offline due to time constraints. We can't take much questions.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir.
Please share
Thank
your
you, sir.
details and stay connected.
Sure, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We'll go ahead with the next presenter, Richa.
Our topic is design of supersonic air intake for ramjet powered artillery shell. We are students from MIT ADT University, Pune. And our guide is Professor Siddharth Pandit. These are the contents of this presentation. First, we start with the introduction of artillery. And so artillery is basically a class of guns which are used in land warfare. The examples of artillery in India are ATAGS and K9 Vajra. So the main problem that we are addressing here is that the range of these artillery shells is around 30 kilometers max. So if the range of our artillery guns is how we can do that. This is the information about the range of shells. So conventional shells could fire only about 15 kilometers, whereas the modern shells which are in use today there are three types of shells: HEBT. So boat-tailed, they have a different shape. They can go up to 20 kilometers. Then high explosive base bleed. They have a outgassing system placed at the backside of them, which reduces the drag and vortices. Due to reduction of vortices, it reduces the drag and hence increases the range. So it can go up to 25 kilometers. And with some extended range variants, we can go up to 30 kilometers. But our target is to go up to 60 kilometers using our ramjet engines. So we can make changes in the design of the shell and make and fit a ramjet in the artillery shell. And as it is a actively powered ramjet engine, it can go up to 60 kilometers from the same gun. The current artillery, these are the current artillery shells. And making changes in the shell is more economical. It takes less time. If we go for making changes into the artillery gun, then it will be more costly and more complex, because the guns are already optimized and they are already in use. So if we make changes in the existing, we will not be able to make the implementation fast, because we'll have to change the whole artillery of our army. So making the changes in artillery shell is more beneficial. We have done a literature review. So these are some of the papers on ramjet. So basically, ramjet engine is an engine which powers any object which is traversing at supersonic speeds. So at supersonic, it takes supersonic air as an intake and adds fuel to it, and then the combustion occurs at subsonic level. So because of supersonic intake, the air is compressed by using rams, and when the air is compressed, we can add fuel and burn it to get more energy out of it. So objectives of our paper was to design supersonic air intake of ramjet for artillery shell, and the most important thing is to achieve the maximum total pressure recovery. So to design an air intake, the topmost priority parameter is total pressure recovery. So after the normal shock in the throat area, the total pressure recovery should be maximum. So that's one parameter we need to maximize. Then we did 2D computation and simulation of ramjet air intake of the inlet we designed. So there are 3 types of compression as the shell is traveling at supersonic speeds. So the shell after firing from the muzzle of a artillery gun, it travels at about Mach of 2.5. So 2.5 Mach, we can compress that air using 3 techniques: external, mixed, and internal. Out of these, the most efficient one is mixed compression, but it makes the flow more complex. And because of mixed compression, we get a problem of reflected shocks. So reflected shocks interact again with the boundary layer and disrupt the flow, which causes the total pressure recovery which causes the loss of total pressure recovery. So we in our design we used external compression, and we compress the air using 2 rams, which are placed externally, and the normal shock is formed at the cowl tip, exactly at the cowl tip, not inside the throat. And internal compression, again the same problems, as all the shocks are inside the intake. The flow is not uniform, and we are not able to achieve uniform mass flow rate at the engine phase. So now deciding the number of rams is a very crucial thing, because if we go directly for a flat face intake, then without any rams, then there will be directly a normal shock, and after a normal shock, the supersonic flow will turn subsonic. But if we go with this way, there will be a huge loss of pressure, because to increase the efficiency of pressure of compression, we introduce rams. So what rams do is, using rams, we can create oblique shocks. So after oblique shock, before oblique shock is also supersonic, and after the oblique shock, the flow is still supersonic, but the pressure increases and the velocity decreases. So more the number of rams, we will be able to more efficiently compress the airflow. But as the number of, again, it has some disadvantages. As we increase the number of rams, the weight increases, and we have a strict constraint for our weight, so we cannot go too far. Also, it makes it more difficult to machine, and more rams means more oblique shocks, and more oblique shocks means we need to concentrate all those oblique shocks at a single point, and at that point we need to have a cowl tip, which is a difficult design, and it makes things more complex and without increasing much of efficiency. So it's better to find the balancing point between them, and find out how many number of rams are essentially required. For this exact thing, we made some Matlab codes to do our calculations and find out the required number of rams. which we will be seeing after the slides, the Matlab codes. So from the Matlab codes, we were able to get these output as if the MAC number of the intake free stream MAC number is 1 to 2, then we need only 1 RAM. If it is 2 to 2.75, then 2 RAMs, and so on. So as our MAC free stream MAC number is 2.5, so we will be going with 2 RAMs. And so this graph was from SEDON. So we digitalized this graph. This graph is about total pressure recovery. So on x-axis, you are able to see the ramp angle of second ramp, and the set of lines which represent different total pressure recoveries at different max. So 2.5, 3, 3.5, these are MAC numbers. The set of curves, they are the first ramp angle, like 13, 11, 14, 9, first ramp angle, and x-axis is the second ramp angle. So using this graph, we can approximate what will be the total pressure recovery we'll be getting for double ramp system. So if we have 2 angles and a free stream MAC number intake, then we can calculate the pressure recovery we will be getting after the normal shock. So we digitalize this graph and use that data in our codes. So these are the analytical calculations of aerodynamics. So we did calculations for supersonic flows, and using these formulas and relations, we were able to calculate the pressure recovery, the temperature, and the pressure ratios. Because pressure ratios are very important to calculate the TPR after a normal shock. So using all this data, we created the Matlab codes. And there are a number of versions of these Matlab codes. So this first one is basically to find, this simply is for calculations. Like if you have first and second ramp angles, then you can calculate directly the TPR. So this code directly takes the input of ramp angle 1 and 2, and we can get the total pressure recovery after normal shock. This code is same, but for 3 ramps. If we have 3 ramp and 3 ramp angles, then we can calculate the total pressure recovery for any given free stream flow of MAC. Then these codes are code number 3 and 4 are iteration codes. So in iteration codes, we don't need to give input of our exact angles, ramp angles, because we need to find out those angles. So in these codes, the data we get the data as the code iterates, and it performs iterations according to by increasing the ramp angle. So we get the data of which ramp angle or which set of ramp angle gives us the highest total pressure recovery. So this code is only for single ramp. So this is the output arranged in descending order. As you can see, the first rank is 0.9865, which means 98.65%. The total pressure recovery, the pressure recovery is 98.65%, which is very good. So it is arranged in a descended order. Like 9 degrees will give you the highest compression, highest efficient compression. This is for single ramp. The same as can be done for second ramp, for 2 ramps or 3 ramps. So for doing double ramp system, we can iterate the code for the first ramp and the second ramp. So this code is iterating for the second ramp, and the code 5th iterates for both the ramps. Like for every ramp angle 1, there will be 90 ramp angles 2. So we'll get a 90 by 90 grid or a matrix, and we can find the highest set of values like x and x comma y, which will give us the highest total pressure recovery at the end. So we got that data, and that the set of angle, as you can see at the first, is 13,16, and the highest total pressure recovery is 86.81%. So that's the highest we can go, and the data is arranged in descending order. All of this is done using the MATLAB itself, and we chose 12,16 as our final design parameters, design angles, because we had a constraint of length, and the 12,16 angles, they were able to fit into that constraint of length. The length constraint was of 250 millimeters, so we need to fit the whole air intake in 250 millimeters, so as it fits inside the shell. So this is the final code, in which we just need to give input of free stream MAC number. If we just give the free stream MAC number, the code will give the output of the optimum number of ramps required, and it will also provide the sorted data of total pressure recovery after the normal shock, as we already saw. So we don't need to provide the number of ramps or the angles which the ramp should have. we just need to give the free stream MAC number, and it will directly provide us the most efficient set of pairs at that MAC. These are some snippets of the code, and this is our geometry. This is our final design. We draw this, and as you can see, the angles are 12 and 16. The cowl tip, so placing the cowl tip is essential at the point where we get the intersection of two oblique shocks. So the point at which we have two oblique shocks, at that exact point, we should have our the cowl tip, so that we get the normal shock parallel to the surface, and we make the flow subsonic at the cowl tip. Then we did a CFD simulations on this design. The simulations were two-dimensional, and as you can see, these are the boundary conditions: inlet, far field, outlet. So we applied back pressure to simulate the conditions of engine phase. The conditions of flow were Mach number 2.5, as already the free stream Mach number of 2.5. Static pressure of 101.325 Pascal, same as sea level. Static temperature, normal conditions of 288 Kelvin. And we applied back pressure at different for different iterations. We applied back pressure of 1 Pascal, 2, 5, and 7. This was our meshing domain, and these are our results. Pressure contours. We used ANSYS for our computational fluid dynamics, and we did iterations at different back pressures. So as you can see, these are the pressure contours at 2 bar and 5 bar back pressure. So in 2 bar, as you can see, there are the flow is not uniform. It gets like the ramp angles. The oblique shocks take the flow inside the cowl. The normal shock is not forming at the cowl tip, and the flow is getting disturbed. Whereas at the back pressure of 5, we are able to get the normal shock at the cowl tip, and the flow is comparatively uniform. And we can clearly see the oblique shocks from 2 ramps. We also tested our design for back pressure of 7 and 9 bars, and these are the results for that. We can see a bow shock forming in case of a 9 bar back pressure. And these are our Mach contours, so that we can see the velocity, how velocity is changing at back pressure 7 and 9. We got the values under our expected range. As we got it around the similar total pressure recovery from our Matlab codes, we are able to get the same total pressure recovery in our computational fluid dynamics results. So these are the comparison between the analytical values and the simulation values. The Mach 1, that is the Mach number after first oblique shock, is 2.002 in our calculations and 2.0394 in the CFD simulations. Same as for Mach 2 and Mach 3. Mach 3 is after the normal shock, therefore it is subsonic. So this was our final design, which attained 86.65% of pressure recovery of using 12 and 16 degrees ramp angles. Thank you.